PragICTS, expediting business outcomes.
This question of whether to have an open source strategy or a closed source strategy, rather commercial software, has been in discussion for decades. How to go about it. And both are two extremely successful camps with its own merits and shortcomings and aches and pains. If you take open source, just look at some cases for open source. The World Wide Web and the servers, according to the stats available, it has a total domination. Numbers thrown at is around above 70%. And similarly, if you look at the mobile OS platform, it's Android as well. Similar percentages, total dominance. Then to the other side of things, if you look at ERP software platforms, clear dominance by commercial software, closed source software, be it SAP, be it Microsoft, be it Oracle. It's very clear. Then if you look at cloud services, it's again, you look at email as a service and related things. It's also commercial software. Underneath, both parties may be using, both, especially the commercial side, underneath they may be using open source technologies and infrastructure. But putting that to aside, these two camps are extremely successful in their own areas of things. So from a business perspective, how do you go about it? My take is that, there are a few things to note of. It's not simple as, open source is cost effective and commercial software is expensive. You cannot, simplify it in that way. But rather it's a question of, your strategy. What I feel is that it's a case-by-case situation, because there are places where open source software dominates and there are places where commercial software dominates. And then also factoring your capacity, internal capacity. From that perspective, from a business perspective, executive level perspective, do I have my IT system supporting the business and empowering the business? That is what at that level people will look at. But at the IT level, people who are responsible for IT, one needs to look at, because end of the day, if that is the expectation, IT has to deliver to that, deliver to those expectations. My take on this is take a look at a hybrid approach and use of deploy the best of technologies from both camps as the requirement may be, because that could provide you to get the best of technologies and capacity in place for IT to deliver. But one thing about open source is that, there are two options. Either get the community edition or the free version. Then if you take that, you are taking on the responsibility to have that technical capacity, engineering capacity to provide that support relating to enhancements, modifications, bugs, etc. So you need to have that capacity either internally or, acquire it from a company who delivers on that. A good hybrid company in this respect, what I can think of is WSO2. They are primarily open source based company. They are a cloud company as well. But they also, for all their software that they stitch, they do have a commercial offering as well, which comes with support for enhancement, all of that. So it's a case of who takes the cost for the support, for the enhancements, for the maintenance and all these things. So those costs are not negated, but the costs are has to be factored in somewhere. And even in commercial software, what happens is that, a company takes responsibility for it, but then there are pragmatic issues one faces. Now, one of the things that I have always heard is that, if you take ERP vendors like SAP, Oracle, they don't directly sell it to the end consumer. It is done through the partnership. So wherever there are resentments or aches and pains pertaining to one particular implementation, it resorts to the partner's inability to fulfill the end consumer's needs and requirements. So as a result, the brand of that ERP gets affected. saying that it's very rigid, all these things. Maybe true, maybe false, but however, it's what I feel is that it's the inability of the partner to fully support. So therefore, this question of whether I should go open source or closed source, I don't think that is a relevant question one to dwell upon, but rather look at a strategy that a hybrid strategy in bringing in those pieces of technologies that serves well for a given context, for a given company. And yes, cost is a factor, all that needs to be factored in. And then the important question is whether one has, if it is a case that open source, whether one has that technology capacity to support for the customization. So therefore, my recommendation is that have a very balanced and an open approach to it. Thank you.
PragICTS, expediting business outcomes.